to the world, it's just, what has she been doing? Does she work? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I work so hard and I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard.
The beginning of that clip where she's like, oh my God. Oh my God. It's like, it's so inauthentic.
Is Meghan Markle the Duchess of Drama, or just wildly misunderstood? That question is blowing up again after her emotional podcast moment, where tears stole the spotlight and raw emotions took center stage. Some fans felt her pain, but others rolled their eyes, saying it only stirred up more chaos around her name. And then came the tension in the room with host Jamie Kern-Lima, which left viewers squirming in their seats. The vibe felt almost too intense, like endless praise with barely any real talk. Viewers online couldn't ignore that awkward energy, and the comments started pouring in fast.
Meghan Markle is now accused of breaking the agreement with the late Queen after podcast revelation, with the compliments of HRH, which is Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex.
But that was only the warm-up, because the internet went crazy again when Meghan landed on Time Magazine's top 100 most influential women. Critics didn't hold back one bit. Then Prince Harry dropped his BBC interview, and oh boy, some of those moments made people cringe hard.
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. I would love reconciliation with my family. I've always, there's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious.
If you are trying to reconcile with your family, if you are trying to make amends, you don't go on TV and blame them again. This is literally the last thing.
Suddenly, everyone was side-eyeing their public image and wondering if they were losing control of the narrative. Behind closed doors, old rumors from former staff started resurfacing, painting a picture that clashed with the polished version Meghan often shows. Some whispers even describe her as demanding and overly focused on herself, which only cranked the drama higher. Add in the Spotify deal collapsing and Netflix projects missing the mark. It's like the hits keep coming. Now, people are speculating that her royal ties are hanging by a thread. Some critics are even saying she should stop signing gifts as Her Royal Highness. Fair or not, the noise around her just keeps growing louder every week.
You made homemade strawberry jam. It's kind of like a doctor when you keep referring to them as doctor and like, call me Susan. Like I would never refer to myself as Her Royal Highness.
I think if somebody gives you a gift, you can say, so-and-so, my friend so-and-so gave me a present. Yeah. I don't feel like she needed to show that.
All of that has fueled speculation that her connection to the royal family is hanging by a thread. With some
Her latest podcast was hyped as real. No makeup, no script, just Meghan bearing her soul. But listeners weren't buying it. To many, it felt too polished, almost rehearsed, like a performance dressed up as authenticity. That perception exploded online, with people joking that even when a celebrity claims something wild, it's all part of the act. That story might sound more believable than Meghan trying to prove she's her authentic self. The level of doubt around her says a lot about how split the public has become when it comes to her image. The situation with the host didn't help either. Jamie Kern-Lima is known to be one of Meghan's close friends, and the whole thing came off like a love fest instead of a real talk. Viewers said it felt like non-stop flattery, making critics wonder if the interview was ever meant to reveal something new or just polish Meghan's brand to perfection. So, what did the audience actually get out of it?
Times we get together and I'm like, I just want to have DoorDash come in. And you're like, let's make some. And I'm like,
no, I don't want to cook again, Meghan. My God, take a break.
According to skeptics, basically nothing they didn't already know. Many think the podcast was more of a strategic business move, especially since her lifestyle brand's latest product launch sold out in 30 minutes. Impressive, right? But some pointed out that the stock might have been tiny from the start. Classic marketing move. Create urgency, create hype, and suddenly you've got a viral success story. Meghan also opened up about motherhood, saying she writes nightly emails to her 2 kids. It sounded touching, but a few listeners thought it felt a little too perfect, almost like something out of a picture-perfect parenting guide. The episode pulled huge streaming numbers, flooding social media with clips everywhere. Jamie hyped it as raw and unfiltered, but that didn't convince everyone. Plenty of viewers stayed skeptical, especially when Jamie kept reminding everyone that Meghan hadn't seen the questions beforehand.
And being a mom and a wife and a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Those are all jobs. I mean, I love being that busy, but I do think it's really interesting when people have no sense of what goes into the thing.
Yeah.
Instead of sounding real, that made people even more suspicious. They wondered, why mention it so many times if it was truly spontaneous? For a lot of people watching, it felt less like genuine honesty and more like someone trying way too hard to sell the idea of being authentic. The Daily Mail's Alexander Larman brushed off Meghan's emotional podcast moments as nothing more than a calculated move to stay in the spotlight. Over on X, users wasted no time jumping in with their own takes. One person even joked, "Even her tears have PR," mocking what they saw as her overly polished delivery and questioning how real the emotions actually were. Meanwhile, Markle reported that critics felt Meghan's stories kept circling back to herself, her struggles, her projects, her brand. It made the interview feel more like a personal promo than an honest reflection. The Express even quoted royal insiders saying no amount of emotional rebranding could fix her public image now, no matter how heartfelt her delivery seemed. Then came her appearance at the Time 100 Summit, which sparked another wildfire of commentary online. People were comparing celebrity authenticity, asking who came off more performative, Meghan Markle or Blake Lively. Even though Meghan didn't make the 2025 list, just showing up caused a storm. Critics called the attention around her overblown and exaggerated.
That feeding of others is my self-care. Oh my God, Glenn.
You have shown me some of the most excruciating and unbearable footage I've seen in quite a long time.
On X, users slammed her inclusion as absurd, pointing out that her recent business moves, selling jam, honey, and cupcake sprinkles, don't exactly scream world-changing influence. One user even snapped, "Who does she think she is? Gayle King?" adding, "Now that's someone with a real track record of impact. She went to space." That comparison hit hard and spread fast. GB News later quoted more critics calling Meghan a self-promoter who still leans heavily on her royal ties. And with every new headline, her so-called influence keeps getting picked apart under the world's harshest spotlight. That time recognition is starting to look more confusing than impressive to some observers. Instead of boosting her image, it's reignited old debates about what influence really means when it comes to Meghan. Then Prince Harry's latest BBC interview threw even more drama into the mix. He openly criticized King Charles over security issues after losing his court appeal, and instantly, the media went wild. But instead of sympathy, his words hit a nerve. Columnist Sarah Vines slammed him as self-pitying, accusing him of using his father's illness to gain public support. The backlash was fierce. According to ITV News, palace insiders felt Harry showed terrible judgment in both timing and tone, especially with the family's sensitive situation. The Mirror even reported that King Charles has grown extra cautious about what he says privately, fearing his words might end up in yet another public interview or documentary. Online, people didn't hold back either, calling Harry entitled and labeling the whole thing a royal pity party.
I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK safely.
That's a lie. You can take them back whenever you want. You can bring your own security. You can ensure that they're safe. You can go to safe spots. There are a million ways to do it. Don't announce it. Don't tell people you're coming. Just show up and find a space and make sure it has even extra or security.
But it didn't stop there. Meghan's name quickly got pulled back into the chaos as critics tied Harry's comments to their shared public narrative. Skeptics claimed the interview wasn't really about security. It was just the next chapter in what they called an ongoing grievance campaign against the royal family. Instead of mending fences, it seems to have pushed the tension into an even brighter spotlight. And just when it felt like things couldn't get messier, new reports started popping up again about Meghan's former staff. The whispers are back, and people can't stop talking about what really happened behind those palace doors. Several outlets claimed that former employees painted a picture of total chaos behind the scenes. Some described the work environment as unpredictable, where expectations kept shifting, and communication was all over the place. Even though none of those claims were officially confirmed, they still added a juicy new layer to the debate around Meghan's leadership style. Meanwhile, her business moves kept everyone guessing. Rapid rebrands, quick product launches, and flashy rollouts that had people wondering if there was an actual plan or just reactions to public pressure. One critic summed it up perfectly, saying, "It feels like she's trying everything at once to see what sticks." There's also a growing debate about whether the couple's non-stop media approach is helping or hurting their long-term image. Some analysts think that constant interviews and public statements just keep old controversies alive instead of letting them fade away. Others argue that speaking up is the only way for them to stay in control of their story. Since stepping away from royal life, public opinion has stayed sharply split. Supporters see Meghan as a woman unfairly targeted, while critics think she's too focused on branding and self-promotion. The truth probably sits somewhere in the middle, but perception rules headlines.
She's stuck because she was an actress who became a real princess, who wants to be an actress again, but has to continue to pretend to be a real princess.
And right now, that perception looks way more negative than positive. With new projects rumored to be in the works, everyone's wondering, will the next big release change the narrative or just repeat the same pattern? The hype, the backlash, and then, boom, the spotlight swings right back to Meghan again. And this time, it hit hard when Megyn Kelly didn't hold back at all. She flat out called Meghan a malignant narcissist, a label that exploded across social media and talk shows instantly. The Telegraph's Celia Walden jumped in too, describing Meghan's podcast as a self-focused therapy session rather than an actual interview. Then Page Six turned up the heat even more, reporting that major wellness brands like Goop allegedly refused to collaborate with her, claiming she's just too polarizing for their image. That one claim alone had everyone online raising eyebrows. And that's exactly what sent social media into another full-blown frenzy.
She's not editing scripts. She's not editing what's going to happen the next day. People are putting that in place. She won't even organise her own clothes. Everything is organised for her. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens.
Every time Meghan tears up or shares something personal, critics jump in fast, saying it feels less like genuine honesty and more like a carefully staged move to sway public opinion. They claim those emotional moments don't hit the same anymore because people are questioning what's real and what's rehearsed. Then the spotlight suddenly shifted to podcast host Jamie Kern-Lima, who found herself caught right in the crossfire. Viewers said her energy during the episode felt over the top, almost scripted. Instead of balanced questions, it sounded like a non-stop praise parade. YouTube commentator The Royal Rogue didn't hold back, calling her tone exaggerated and artificial, and even suggesting she sounded more like a cheerleader for hire than an interviewer. Echoing that same sentiment, media critic Rose Lanigan said Lima's endless compliments made the entire podcast feel less like a deep conversation and more like a late-night infomercial. Over on X, users piled on quick, calling it a Meghan Markle hype session instead of a real interview. What shocked people even more was who Jamie Kern-Lima is. She's not just any host, she's a billionaire entrepreneur who built and sold her beauty company for over $1 billion. So, when listeners tuned in expecting sharp insights and bold questions, they were stunned to find what felt more like an hour-long PR spotlight focused entirely on Meghan.
Interview deeply alarming. It's delusional in so many ways as well.
But she is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim.
That left one big question hanging in the air. Why would someone that successful sound like a personal publicist instead of an interviewer? For many critics, it only reinforced the idea that the whole episode was tightly scripted, image-controlled, and laser-focused on brand building rather than genuine discussion. And when you zoom out, it's clear this debate goes way beyond one podcast. Whether it's Meghan's tearful moments or Harry's fiery BBC interviews, the same question keeps echoing everywhere. Are they finally telling their truth? Or are they just crafting a perfectly dramatic storyline? From Time Magazine's controversial recognition to former staff stories whispering about a fiery temper, the narrative around the couple just keeps getting more complicated and way more explosive. The scrutiny just keeps stacking higher and higher. Critics label Meghan and Harry as a self-absorbed duo who use their personal struggles to pull at the public's heartstrings, but supporters fire back, saying they're simply reclaiming their voice in a system that never played fair. Still, if you scroll through social media, the skepticism is definitely louder right now. People are asking if we're seeing true vulnerability or just a masterclass in personal branding wrapped in emotional storytelling. The line between real and rehearsed has never looked thinner. Maybe the truth sits somewhere in that messy middle, but neither side seems ready to admit it. As the internet dissects every tier, every clip, and every headline, the rest of us are just sitting back, watching royal drama unfold like it's a never-ending series while dealing with our own daily chaos. Now, analysts are stepping in with a serious question. Can Meghan and Harry keep playing this media game long-term without it totally backfiring? Some experts say constant exposure will eventually wear people out, turning sympathy into doubt. Others argue that controversy is the point, that staying talked about is the strategy, because in today's media world, attention still equals power. There's also pressure building around whatever they release next.
She decided she didn't want to be a real princess because to be a real princess involves duty and responsibility, caring about other people. And so she just wanted to be a pretend princess in Hollywood. So she split her husband off from his royal family and then inked a $1 zillion deal with a bunch of media companies, and then all her projects.
After so many mixed reactions to past projects, expectations are sky high. Industry insiders are reportedly watching closely, with one executive even saying their next move has to prove they can deliver real value, not just viral buzz. Translation: this time, results matter more than hype. Supporters aren't backing down though. They're defending Meghan fiercely, pointing out how women in the public eye often face harsher criticism than men. Many say her story's been twisted from day one, and that she's simply trying to move forward and build her own life beyond the palace walls. A brutal challenge under global scrutiny. Critics, on the other hand, see things completely differently. They say the constant cycle of tearful interviews followed by shiny business launches feels manipulative and hard to trust. And with every new headline, that tension between perception and reality just keeps getting louder and wilder. Critics believe people are starting to notice a pattern. How every emotional confession seems to line up perfectly with a new business move. It's got folks wondering if those personal revelations are coming from the heart or straight from a PR playbook. Whether that's fair or not, perception is becoming reality in real time, and it's reshaping how the world sees Meghan and Harry. Right now, their image feels like it's standing on a knife's edge. The next choices they make could either rebuild trust and shift public opinion, or drive the divide even deeper with the audiences who once cheered them on. The pressure has never been higher, and the world's watching every move they make. If you've got thoughts after watching this, drop them in the comments below. And if this breakdown opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more shocking deep dives just like this. Don't forget to like and share it with someone who needs to see what's really going on.